You know that a monthly reset can be a powerful tool for starting a new month in a stress-free way, with a clear perspective on what needs to get done, and with your environment organized to promote this. But you may also find the reset process just a tad overwhelming, especially if, like me, you want to have a robust reset process that genuinely helps you get organized in pretty much every area of your life. Today we are going to make a manageable monthly reset process that's time-friendly and will help you get cool, calm, and collected for the month ahead. The tips we're talking about today assume that you have a reset process that you're already struggling with, or finding a bit overwhelming. It's all good if you don't, but I do recommend checking out our other video on how to make a monthly reset if you haven't done so already. The general process though is 1. Identifying the purpose of the reset, 2. Brainstorming tasks or things that you could do in order to fulfill that purpose, 3. is categorizing and refining that list, 4 is making a draft of your reset process, and then 5 is actually testing them out. But once you've done that, you may find that the list you've created is too big or too overwhelming to actually be of genuine use to you. So let's look at how to simplify. One of the simplest ways to make your reset process more manageable is to eliminate the things that aren't essential. Go through your reset list and identify your priority areas or priority tasks. Which are the ones that make the most difference? These are the ones that must happen. As part of this, you're also going through and thinking about which areas aren't as beneficial, which ones don't necessarily actually need to be done every single month. The question we're really asking ourselves here is, what parts of your reset are the most beneficial or are the most essential? It can be helpful to think about this in terms of some tiers that you might want to sort your tasks into. So you have the tasks that you want to keep as they are, the ones that you want to keep but maybe they need tweaking, the ones that are important but doesn't necessarily have to be done as part of the reset process, the parts that are less important, so we're going to make less of a focus, and the part that is a complete time suck and you're just going to let it go. These criteria are just ideas, but they can help you get started with sorting through your reset list and thinking about which ones you actually want to keep. Once you have your priorities though, you know which ones you actually want to do as part of your reset, now it's time to think about how we can make those easier. There are a lot of ways that we can do a thing, and some of those are going to be more time or labor intensive than other ways. So effectively, what we're looking at here is, how can I tweak my reset tasks to be easier and more manageable? There are plenty of ways to make things easier for yourself, so let's have a look at some examples. For instance, let's just say that part of my reset is tidying my physical space. I mean, spoilers, it is actually part of my reset. But there are different extents to which I can tidy a space. So one way to make it easier is just to lower my expectations. Not in a negative way, we don't want to make it so that this isn't a useful part of the reset anymore, but there is a difference between doing a 45-minute deep carpet vacuum versus a 5-minute go over the carpet once type deal. Although the deep vacuum of the carpet may be more satisfying, 45 minutes is a long time to spend on just one part of my reset, and I know that a 5-minute vacuum is still going to make me feel refreshed. Another way that we can help ourselves is getting help from others. This may also need to be combined with the first idea of managing our own expectations. Oftentimes they say if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself, but it also saves us way more time getting somebody else to do the thing. If we use the physical environment as an example again, is there somebody else in your household that you could maybe delegate some of your reset tasks to? Maybe there's somebody else in your household who can clean the bins out. Maybe there's somebody else in your household who could do the vacuuming. This could also be bringing on somebody else who isn't part of your household to do that. I know that not everybody necessarily has the finances to be able to do that, but it is still an option. Another make it easier trick is using time-saving tools. For instance, part of my reset process is doing a brain dump to get everything out of my head and onto paper, and sometimes I like to do this by typing rather than by handwriting, because I can type faster than I can write. Another example is using my finance tracker for my budgeting review rather than having to add everything up myself. It would be much more time costly if I had to do all the calculations, whereas my Excel document just does it all for me. Much faster. A related way to make things easier is by making use of automation. For instance, having your emails automatically sort into folders, or your calendar events being set up as recurring events, so that if you have inbox zero or doing a calendar review as part of your reset, that's made a lot easier. You don't have to go and set up the event time and time and time again because it's already done for you. You don't have to sort all of your emails into all of the different places because you've already got filters that help you do that. A possibly slightly less glamorous way to make things easier for ourselves is regular maintenance. And I know that doesn't sound very attractive, but it does actually help. Rather than clearing out your downloads folder once per month, why don't we do it once per week, where it's a lot more manageable, and thus it doesn't become quite as big or quite as laborious a task. Similar idea with that physical space. If we do smaller, more regular tidy ups, then we don't have to spend a huge amount of time doing one big tidy up. And that can take the pressure off your monthly reset process. Templates can also be a great way to help you make your reset process easier. For instance, having your reset checklist, that would be one kind of template, so you know which steps that you want to do each month. Another example though would be something like a monthly reflection template. So what questions do you want to ask yourself at the end of each month, so you know the type of things you want to reflect on month after month after month. It means that you don't have to spend time thinking about what you want to think about. Hopefully that makes sense. Another way to make your monthly reset process easier is by applying the do or defer method. So are there any parts of your reset that don't necessarily have to be done as part of the reset? Can you defer them to a different time? Or could you do them earlier in the month? Something like that. We're going to talk more about that one in a bit, but our next stage of making our reset process easier is by thinking about time constraining the tasks that are left. Once we've eliminated parts of the reset that aren't as useful, and we've tweaked the ones that remain to make them as easy as possible, adding time restraints is an excellent way to make sure that this doesn't blow out of proportion and become a really huge, cumbersome task that we just can't get done. Often, things take as long as we give them time for. For example, if I specify that I'm only giving myself 10 minutes to tidy my office and set a timer and get to work, I will get it done in 10 minutes. If I give myself an hour, it's gonna take an hour. And if I give myself 2, yeah. What we're trying to do here is going through our reset steps and considering how much time do we actually want to assign to each of them? How much time do you want to spend on each reset task? Essentially, a task will expand to the amount of time that you give it. So if you set time restraints, ones that are kind of tight but still reasonable, then it's more likely that you're not going to waste time when trying to get it done. It'll help you be more focused during that task because you've specified how much time you actually want to spend on it. So we have prioritized the necessary ones, we've made the remaining ones easier, and we've time restrained those as well. Our next stage though is to consider, do these all actually have to be done right now? Do these all have to be part of the reset process itself, or could they be done at other parts in the month? Effectively, what we're trying to do here is just spread things out. You don't have to do your reset all in one stint. It doesn't have to be done in a 3-hour block on the last Sunday of the month. You can do this over either multiple days or multiple weeks, or you could just do it over the month as a whole. While it can be really satisfying having all of the reset tasks done at the same time, and then heading into the new month feeling very cool, calm, and collected, it can also be really overwhelming doing all of that stuff at once, which is kind of the purpose of this video. If by going through the first 3 stages, you've decided that pretty much everything on your reset is important to you, is something that you want to get done, and is something that you want to do in depth, then doing it all at once might not be right for you. Instead, how can we spread it out? What parts of our reset can we section off and do at other points during the month? By applying the 4 questions we've looked at though, you can take a complicated reset process and simplify it to one that's going to be more manageable for you. Looking at my reset as an example, this was my full reset process list. At a full glance, it probably only looks like 7 things, but each of these, with maybe the exception of the retidy, are actually somewhat involved. And they've got multiple parts. If we expand those out, you can see that my list starts to look a little more like this. Some months I can totally do all these things, even if it takes me a while. But other months where maybe I'm just not feeling it, or I'm unwell, or I'm time pinched, doing all of those tasks is very overwhelming. If I have the time and energy to do them, I do like to do them, but having a simplified version that I can fall back on is a great idea for the times that I'm low energy, or not feeling it, or time pinched. So applying our questions one by one, what can I eliminate, or what are my priorities? For the things that are remaining, how can I make easier versions of these? How much time do I want to spend on each part? And are there any parts that I can defer or schedule at another time? This could also include some of the parts that we eliminated as part of identifying our priorities, because we can do those at a different time as well. And now I have a simplified version of my reset process, so much more manageable and handy to have for any month that I'm just not feeling it. But what if you haven't actually made your full reset checklist yet? It can be a bit hard to simplify a reset process if you don't have one yet, so if you wanted to make a reset checklist for yourself, then this is the video I recommend. Or if you wanted to see what my monthly reset process looks like, then the playlist at the bottom is where it's at. Click or tap on one of those and I will see you over there.